My sister texted me, "This party is on an exclusive island you could never afford." A moment later, the director came over and asked, "Mr. Kane, does your family not realize that you own this paradise?" I just smiled and replied, "Not yet." "Stop pretending you didn't know, Marin." Jonas's voice cracked against the kitchen walls, veins bulging at his neck. "I didn't steal anything," Marin fired back, slamming her glass on the table so hard the rim chipped. "You've always been jealous, Jonas, because Dad trusts me more than he ever trusted you." The air was thick with spilled whiskey and old resentment. The dining table, once polished for Thanksgiving dinners, was now cluttered with overdue bills, half-drunk glasses, and a single broken plate glinting under the light. Father's hand came down flat on the wood, rattling everything. "Enough! If you think I'll let this family tear itself apart over a damn lie..." Then his eyes snapped to me, the quiet figure in the corner. His voice turned cold, dripping with disgust. "This is your doing, Alex. Don't act so innocent. You've been sowing poison in this family for years." Marin smirked at me, twisting the knife. "He's right. You don't even belong here, Alex. You're just a shadow in this house." My name is Alex Cade, 26, the son who was easiest to ignore, the brother who was convenient to blame. I learned early. My silence was their comfort. If I didn't speak, they didn't have to see me. If I didn't fight, they could dump their failures at my feet. But silence isn't weakness. Silence is patience sharpened to a blade. So when Father spat, "You're the parasite of this family," I didn't shout. I only leaned back, steady, and thought, if only you knew how wrong you are, because I carried a truth none of them could survive. And tonight, I was ready to open the wound. Family members introduced are Marin, 27. My sister, sharp-tongued and venomous. She dressed like every room was her stage, interrupting mid-sentence just to remind you that you were beneath her. She'd been Father's favorite actress, his golden lie, Jonas, 30. My brother, always half an explosion. Fists curled, eyes darting. He inherited Father's temper, but none of his control. His loyalty bent whichever way power tilted. Evelyn, 55, my mother. She spoke little, her silence not chosen but forced. She stirred sugar into cold coffee just to keep her hands busy. A lifetime of apologies lived in her eyes. Robert, 58, my father, the architect of this circus. His approval was dangled like a prize, but even when you earned it, it was counterfeit. And then there was me, Alex, the one they forgot until something went missing, the one who became convenient to blame when they needed a villain. They saw weakness. What they didn't see was the ledger I'd been keeping. Jonas hurled a folder onto the table. The papers inside fanned out like a storm. Bank statements, missing funds, signatures in Marin's handwriting. "Tell me again, Marin, how this isn't theft." Marin crossed her arms, her smirk trembling but not breaking. "It was a loan. Dad said I could use it." "I never gave you permission," Father barked, face red, spit flying. "That's rich," Jonas scoffed. "You scream at us about responsibility and you let her bleed the account dry like a spoiled child?" The room tilted in chaos, shouts on top of shouts. I watched from my corner, and the pattern was familiar. Marin played victim, Jonas played executioner, Father played king. But then, a whisper broke the rhythm. Evelyn's voice, so low it almost disappeared. "She's not the only one who took money." Everything stopped. Jonas froze mid-step. Marin's smirk faltered. Father's jaw clenched. And I felt it. That crack in the wall. The truth was seeping through. Jonas turned slowly, suspicion in his eyes. "What are you saying, Mom?" Her lip trembled. "Your father, he sold something that wasn't his to sell." Father slammed his fist so hard the table shook. "Evelyn, not another word." Marin laughed nervously. "What else is new? Dad's always bending rules for himself." Jonas stared, betrayed. "What the hell did you sell, Dad?" That's when I pushed my chair back. The scrape echoed like a blade being unsheathed. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. You think this is about money? My eyes swept across all of them. No. It's about what you all did to me. The silence that followed was heavier than any storm. Even Father didn't dare fill it. The smell of rain. Cold water soaking through my hoodie. 18 years old, standing outside the hospital with empty pockets. Jonas had borrowed my savings. Maren had gutted my college fund for her fashion program. Father said I should man up and stop whining. But Mom's medication wasn't covered, and I was the one standing at the counter while the nurse frowned. We can't release it until the bill clears. I worked 3 jobs that year. Graveyard shifts, fast food, warehouse. My hands cracked from cold boxes, my lungs burned from chemicals. Nobody noticed. Nobody asked where I was. And Maren? She saw it all. She told everyone I was selfish, while I bled myself dry for them. That was the night my silence hardened into armor. I dropped the truth like a guillotine. Dad didn't just sell something. He sold the deed to this house, years ago, to cover Maren's gambling debts. Maren's face drained of color. Jonas's jaw fell open. Evelyn gasped like the air had been punched out of her. And here's the kicker, I continued, pulling out the folded receipts from my jacket. I've been paying the mortgage ever since, quietly, every month, while you called me selfish, while you said I abandoned this family. Maren lunged at me, eyes wild. You're lying! I slid the papers across the table. Read it, every dollar, my signature, my blood. The room detonated, Jonas shouting, Father cursing, Evelyn weeping. But I stood still, because I had waited years for this. Maren's voice shrieked, brittle as glass. You think you're some kind of hero? You're still nothing, Alex. You'll always be nothing. I leaned closer, so calm it burned hotter than her screams. If I'm nothing, then why have you lived on what I built for years? Jonas tore the receipts from the table, eyes scanning. His fists, once aimed at me, dropped limp. He's telling the truth. Evelyn collapsed into her chair, sobbing into her hands. Father, the king of this ruined kingdom, sat pale and silent for the first time in my life. I gave you all my silence, I said, steady as stone. Tonight, I give you the truth. Then Evelyn lifted her head, voice shaking but sure. He's right. He always has been. And in that moment, the family crown fell to the floor. I didn't storm out. I walked, deliberate, free. Jonas grabbed my arm, desperate. Alex, wait, I didn't know. I swear. I looked him in the eye. You didn't want to know. That's worse. Outside, the air hit me clean. For the first time, my chest didn't feel caged. They'll never see me the same again, I thought. And I don't need them to. But the fire inside me wasn't gone. It was just beginning to burn a new path. Weeks later, I returned to the island alone. The house loomed in silence, stripped of shouting, stripped of power. Walking through the halls, I felt no weight, no ghosts, just walls and wood and echoes that no longer owned me. I paused at the dining table, the same table where I had been accused, mocked, erased. Now it was just a table. And me? I was no longer their scapegoat. For the first time, I exhaled fully. I don't carry their weight anymore. And the tide outside crashed like applause, not judgment. If you were in my place, would you forgive, or would you walk away forever? Tell me in the comments. Your voice matters here. If Alex's pain and his revenge struck a chord with you, like this video so more people feel it, subscribe for more stories that cut deep, stories that feel real, and most importantly, share your truth in the comments. Because silence only breaks when someone dares to speak.